Hey, follow us on YouTube.
Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the podcast where two dudes, that is us, watch cartoons. We are here at episode 100. My name is Evan.
And my name is Alex. This is really special. Me and Evan did have a bit of a bigger plan, but it was so amorphous, unfortunately, and my bachelor party was just so not at the time for us, not the venue, unfortunately, that we decided to do something a little different, but I'm so excited for. It's going to be, I think we're going to talk about two different things here. The first half, we do have an episode we are covering. It's a movie.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And it's an awful movie, and I'm so excited. And part of it is, and I'm glad we do it this way. Part of it is most of the time we talk about shit we love, things we like, enjoy, find interesting. And this is an interesting Venn diagram of something we love, but is just absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm. Today, we are completing out our Avatar coverage, and we are covering The Last Airbender, M. Night Shymalan, 2010. So buckle in, because this is about to be a fucking episode of episodes. And I do think along the way, I want to talk just some two dudes history and sentimental things.
Why don't we start with the two
let's
dudes?
start with why.
Bore people out
No.
of their...
No. But let's start with why we're covering this here. Because back in 2020, when we officially got the podcast started again, not the first time we tried.
Not the first attempts.
First attempt, but when we officially got it running, we covered Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Book one.
And book one. That was our first podcast. And I think me and Evan expected like 10 people to listen to it. And that was not the case at all. We got like a very decent amount of listeners for our first podcast, and we were blown away. And we did book 2 and book 3. And so Avatar is this podcast's roots.
Yeah, it's the inception.
It is the inception. It is the building block on which we were founded. It's still, this is going to sound crazy because we've covered 99 other episodes.
Yeah.
But Avatar might be my favorite thing like that we've covered. It's so good. So here's why I'm glazing right now, because we're going to get into just an hour of just ragging on this movie. Mm-hmm. But there is a few nuggets of like, I see where this was supposed to go. Not a lot, but a couple.
Sure. And
so I thought before we really dive in, we should talk about a couple of things that maybe you enjoyed about the movie.
Okay, yeah.
What do you got off the top of your head? I have a couple of things.
I enjoy Dev Patel's performance.
Boom. Took one off my list. Dev Patel, at this point, this should have been... I don't want to say up and coming, because he was in a Best Picture, Oscar Best Picture film, Slumdog Millionaire. He's very famous at this point, but he's still up and coming, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if that had come out when he had started filming this. I know.
Oh, interesting. Because it won like in 2008, and then this is 2010. But filming-wise, you're right. He might not have... Yeah.
I had read something on the Wikipedia but while he was shooting Slumdog, he was watching episodes of Avatar. So he was preparing for the role. I don't think when he got it, he wasn't as big a name as he was going to be.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Interesting.
Do you think this halted his career a little?
I think it might have. Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah.
For a little bit.
Honestly, for a little bit. But I do like his performance. I think it's probably the redeeming quality in this movie. He gives as earnest a performance as he can. He's, a lot of the actors learn some form of martial arts.
Yeah. His looked good
to perform in this movie, and I wonder if that maybe planted the seed for him to later his first directorial debut last year, The Monkey Man, which I haven't seen, but I've only heard great things about.
Only heard
it's
really
on my
good
list.
things.
So if this movie flopping and potentially almost tanking his career resulted in his come up and the
Take it.
the off the beaten path road he's taken in the rest of his career, I think that's a worthy trade-off. Interesting to note, though, if you read on Wikipedia, he was not the initial choice for this role. The role of Zuko was initially offered to Jesse McCartney.
What? Huh?
But the producer said, I don't want another pretty face. I don't want just anyone to hold.
Wait, that's crazy.
The role was
that changes the whole film. Because
the story, apparently the story goes, at least on Wikipedia, it was offered to Jesse McCartney. Didn't line up with his tour dates. I think Jesse McCartney might contest that. I think there's maybe some creative differences, perhaps, but.
Do you think that's in association with like Nickelodeon? Do you think Nickelodeon is trying to like synergize that there?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
because I don't see M. Night Shyamalan being like, I need Jesse McCartney for this film.
Yeah. I struggled to think of anything.
Zuko. Not even Zuko. Excuse me. I'm gonna say Dev Patel's performance. I think that another thing. I would actually say, ready for this? The person who worked the best with what they were given, I actually think was General Zhao.
Yeah, okay. He did very well. I don't know the actor's name, but
I don't know.
Plays up the cartoonish villain.
He really did it well, and I can't remember if this is in the original. And I just finished the movie, and I should have looked. But when he stabs the fish, it goes, "Today man becomes God." That shit went hard. Like that's a good addition. Where I was like, "Ooh, goosebumps there." So it is far and few between. There's a few performances that are good, and what I will say is that for a movie trying to pack in all of book one, I didn't hate the choices of what they decided to put in and out of this movie, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It's a 20-episode season one.
They squeezed in all 20 episodes, and I think they hit what they needed to for like future movies that never happen.
Yeah. I do think, retrospectively, watching, because I haven't seen this since 2010. I do believe I saw this in theaters.
I can't believe I saw this in theaters, and I honestly think I've seen it one other time since then.
Yeah. Which is big for people who have probably watched Avatar several times over since, right? Yeah. But let's go through the numbers real quick. Made on a budget of $150 million. Domestic box office, $131 million. $319 million globally. So considered flop domestically, especially when you know,
movies back in the day were crazy. Like that's considered a flop. Nowadays we'd be like, it did fine.
It was the most expensive M. Night Shyamalan movie ever, and ever since he's been self-financing his own. Okay, because this movie did.
Wow, ever since this movie he's been self-financing.
Okay, so yeah.
We need to. I was wondering when to bring this up, but we should talk about this. The M. Night Shyamalan of it all.
Why? Interesting choice.
Interesting choice. I have a feeling he it was probably on him. He probably like reached out to someone, right? Like there's no way Nickelodeon goes, "We need M. Night Shyamalan." He probably started the ball, in my opinion, as well. So
he was watching it with his family at the time, and he loved the story. And I believe he approached Nickelodeon, I guess. I wonder if it's so he says he watched it with his daughter, who I believe his daughter has a role in Trap.
Oh my God, yeah, she's in Trap. Oh, that's so wild.
So we have her to blame.
Yeah, we have her to blame. Here's my history with M. Night Shyamalan. My mother, when I was 5 years old, showed me the movie The Sixth Sense, and it scared me for 2 whole years. I thought that movie was like the pinnacle of scary movies. I had not revisited that movie in 25 years. I watched it recently this last year.
Okay. Besides this, I don't know that I've actually seen an entire M. Night Shyamalan
Oh
movie.
My God. So then this is my year of M. Night Shyamalan. I saw Trap. I rewatched The Sixth Sense. And on an airplane, I watched Old. And Old might be one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Trap was suspenseful, but really bad. And what I've come to the conclusion, watching all 4 of these M. Night Shyamalan movies in a short amount of time, this man does not know how people talk to each other. He has no idea how people talk. Real life. His scripts are all awful.
Yeah. Especially in this movie.
This movie, it is apparent. And I watched very carefully because, like I said, I've noted now that, like, man, M. Night Shyamalan's got a style when writing. And I was like, should I be accepting of, like, I want directors to have a bit of a style. And I have determined this is bad. He does not know how people actually speak to each other. His dialogue is not only bad, but it's wasteful. He repeats so much. I think at one point in M. Night Shyamalan's career, he had someone very close to him whose opinion he, like, praised, that saw one of his movies and he was like, I just didn't fully get it. I didn't understand. And now he has to explain every little thing with dialogue. Mm-hmm. He does not trust his audience to get anything. And these are some of the examples I wrote down. This is absolutely insane. These are actual quotes of things that I pulled from this movie. Mm-hmm. Little earthbending boy gets in prison and he runs up. He goes, Dad! And then he gets there. And then what does he say next? This is my father. That's a real line from this movie. That's a real line. He says it to the group after screaming, running, Dad. And then, but even before that, we see Ong, which we see Ong. And
Dad.
I can't believe it. It hurts my ears every time. But we see Ong and he's at the Airbending temple. And he's got the same look on his face that he has the whole movie, like he's about to cry. And it's the most devastating news that, you've nailed it. You got it right there. This is your reminder to go watch our YouTube. Evan's got the face down perfectly. A little lip quiver. Okay, but so he's at the air temple and he sees Monk Gyatso's and he's got the amulet. And Ong says, I made this for Monk Gyatso. He says it to no one. And then they do a flashback of Ong giving it to Monk Gyatso. That's like pretty long. And I go, dude, you don't need both of these. And I'm not done, too. I'm not done. Not done. So after we've established several times over that the firebenders killed all the airbenders, no one knows an airbender, the monks, there are 2 separate times that people in this movie say a variation of, but all the airbenders should be dead. We know this.
We know this.
We know this. And then my last one, and this doesn't even fit this category. This is just awful fucking writing. He's about to unveil himself as the avatar to all the prisoners, avatar to all these prisoners. And before he does that, he decides he needs to angrily ask the group, would it mean anything to you if the avatar had returned? And then no one really says anything. He goes, I am the avatar. And it's like, what is going on with this dialogue?
Noah Ringer did take a month of acting classes to nail those lines.
Dude. Oh, I got another one here, actually.
Yeah.
They, after the prison, I had to stop writing them. If you notice, this is all around the prison scene because there's so many of them. They get all the scrolls back. And some random earthbender, Dad, this is my father. It's him. He goes, a member of the Fire Nation took this waterbending scroll from the Water Nation. And then Katara, as she's opening, goes, oh, a waterbending scroll. I'm like, this is like anime dub in the 90s level of bad sometimes.
It's terrible.
It is so
and then bad.
Here's the last note I have on his dialogue, because I could literally spend a whole hour just reciting lines to you. But the last thing, none of the characters use contractions.
That's a very astute observation.
And it sounds so unnatural. They say, you are the avatar. Not, you're the avatar. It's so different. It's so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Before we go further.
Whew! Sorry, that was my
that's
heart
a lot
rate's
to
up.
get off
Go
your
ahead,
chest. 2 things I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
This has a score of 5%. Let that sink in. This is the worst rated thing we've talked about on this podcast.
Episode 100, baby.
Episode 100.
That's crazy.
5%. 1.1 stars on Letterboxd. You know,
how many?
1.1 stars.
That, I guess, feels a bit more accurate to me. Like, honestly, as lame as that sounds.
Yeah, but nobody loves this movie.
There's not
no,
fans.
Which is deserved.
Yes, there's not like people it drew in that were like, oh, well, it was actually my first introduction to Avatar. Mm-hmm. No one.
So when people, when we were covering the Netflix Avatar and people say there's no movie in Ba Sing Se, this is why. It is universally panned. It is universally reviled by the fan base. The people, you have a built-in, you're trying to make a tent pole.
Yes.
For this thing with a built-in
diehard audience.
Diehard, so much adoration for this property. Kids property from Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
A lively, fun, goofy, action-packed, dramatic. Who do you get to nail that?
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan? What? That's like the first major disconnect for me. Is like, this movie is so lacking in any personality.
Personality.
I truly think M. Night Shyamalan does not recognize any of the things people actually enjoy about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I actually think you nailed that, because there's one huge glaring thing that is missing from this film. Mm-hmm. And it's Ong's personality.
Yeah.
Ong is not this serious messiah, savior of these people. He's a reluctant hero who's a goddamn goofball 11-year-old who loves everyone and everything. And we get zero of that in this movie.
Mm-hmm. So, the casting of Noah Ringer.
I don't blame him. There's not a chance for Ong to look happy and excited and air scooter and playing with Momo. There's
his
no
acting
time
skills
for
aside,
it.
there's no time for it. He's not able to pull it off if time was made for it.
Holy shit.
So Noah Ringer, no acting experience.
Not a ringer.
It was a young man who practiced Taekwondo.
That's right.
And was getting into it and shaved his head because during practices he would get warm. So he would keep cool by shaving his head, and he earned himself the nickname among his friends, Avatar. And so he submitted a tape, and that was enough for them. There's a bald kid who knows Taekwondo, who doesn't know how to act, and I
know
really
this is not, but this feels racist somehow. This is fucking insane.
Yeah, so I don't want to rag on him because he's just not up to the task. He's not. He has two expressions. One, he's straight-faced delivering a line, or two, he's furrowing his brow delivering a line.
Man, I'd argue it's like one and a half.
It's one.
Yeah, it's like one face. It's talking and not talking.
But
for
yeah,
him.
yeah, and completely, the movie and his performance in it completely humorless. There's no ounce of joy, no ounce of him establishing friendships with Katara and Sokka, played by Jackson Rathbone. Dude. So this movie did debut second at the box office behind Twilight Eclipse. So Jackson Rathbone was having himself a little weekend, probably at the high and low
That's actually
of his
so
careers.
Funny. Well, also that movie I think is actually pretty low on Rotten Tomatoes. Also, like people it's got a fan base, but
it's probably
not like
it was probably printing money though at that point.
Yes, sorry, yeah. I guess I'm talking about quality, but you're right. It's printing money hand over fist.
Yeah.
So
that's a little bit of the background of
that's
context of this movie.
Just so crazy to me because what I think this really showed me while we're on this topic is part of what makes Avatar so good is the dichotomy of like the seriousness versus the goofiness. Ong just wants to be an 11-year-old. That's why he ran away. He just likes pranks and animals and good times. He doesn't want all this responsibility. And in this they like hint that he kind of doesn't want the responsibility, but they go into none of that. And from our perspective, we don't know why he doesn't want this responsibility.
They frame it in the most peculiar way. Ong keeps going back to the dialogue. They said I couldn't have a family. Bro, you're 10.
My God. Oh my God. Another bad dialogue.
Are you only trying to think about smash? Like, why are you
dude,
only
he's
thinking about
only
smash?
trying to smash. He's only trying to
They
smash.
said I couldn't have a family.
M. Night Shyamalan heard that and he goes, it's terrible. This is a tragedy. He goes, this is the real tragedy of Avatar. So another horrible dialogue. He goes, yeah, and the monks told me that I wouldn't ever be able to have a family. Katara goes, why wouldn't you be able to have a family? He goes, that's what I asked. We got nowhere. There's so many of these like circular conversations that happen where you start and end essentially at the same point. Nothing has progressed. I feel me and Evan were one time like, we wanted to be writers. We wanted to write stories and like movies, TV shows, whatever it may be. That was what we were passionate about. I feel like I learned something about storytelling and writing from how goddamn awful this was.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to take away. One of the most egregious lines to add to your pile that you directly quoted, I don't have the direct quote, but there's a point in the movie. There are several complaints I have.
There's several points in the movie.
Talk about the dialogue first. They're talking about, they're making their plan of going through the Earth Kingdom or whatever, going to these prisons or villages, inspiring people to start up the rebellion. Sokka is pitching this. I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially asks Ong, how's that sound? Or he's like, do you think we should do that? And Ong goes, yes, I think we should.
No, yes, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's always, how does that sound to you? I think that sounds like a good plan. Huh? Like what?
Cut to the next scene.
Cut to them flying to
bizarre.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
And what follows from that is they yada through all of book one, from them meeting the Earth prison to the Blue Devil. Yeah. They just show Ong twirling his stick, blowing a knocking a Fire Nation soldier over with his airbending in a couple different villages, and then we're at him getting kidnapped by the Blue Devil. So that's like,
and the Blue Devil scene, to anyone who has not watched the original show, I almost called it an anime just by heart, and that makes me really happy if I'm being honest. Anyone who hasn't watched the anime, the Blue Devil scene probably makes very little sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's so out of place in the movie. Like, we know that Zhao and Zuko have these conflicting interests, but just not enough to the point where you think he's going to be going in there and fucking people up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then just another horrible dialogue. He goes, were you able to capture who your guards are now calling the Blue Spirit? Like I said, he does not trust his audience to pick up on things at all. He has to explain it with dialogue. And not only does he have to explain it with dialogue, he feels like he's got to reiterate it with dialogue at some point.
Yes. This movie, one of its chief crimes is one, not trusting people, but the symptom of that is that all of the dialogue is so exposition heavy.
Oh,
they cut from voiceovers to get us, Katara narrating.
Oh my God.
And then they'll do as much exposition from fucking
Star
Granny
Wars
in the village.
Wait, I'm so sorry. How did we skip over this? What did you think about the Star Wars crawl of dialogue in the beginning?
Yeah. I mean, I do think this is an impossible thing book one is an impossible thing to condense into
and that's why I gave it credit. That's why I gave it some credit.
Tried.
I think it's impossible to movie.
This makes me so appreciative of the live action.
We haven't gotten to it, but I was going to say what's really interesting is we now have something totally third party to compare this to, which if we had covered this, a couple of years ago, we actually talked about it very shortly after we did books. After we finished Korra, we were like, should we just do the movie? We were riding that high. Yeah. I think it's so interesting that we now have the Netflix live action to compare this to, because while we've complained about the bending for years and how awful it looks in this movie, we now can confidently say you can make bending look good.
And it looks pretty
It
fucking
can look
sick.
great in live
Yeah.
action. It can. This is actually, the bending is one of the worst things ever. And it really makes me, well, oh wait, before we move on, the text crawl at the beginning, I think that was M. Night Shyamalan being like, this is the next Star Wars. I really do.
Sure.
I really think he was like, he's like, I got 3 books.
Adapt, all 3 books. Just the wrong choice for a person to lead this thing. And if there's one shining example of why not to trust entertainment execs, it's that there at no point was there quality checks or like.
My question for you while I was about to bring it up, the quality checks like you're talking about. Do you think the CGI animators just didn't understand bending fully? Or do you think that was a stylistic choice by M. Night Shyamalan to make shit slow as fuck?
In what way? Like the fire bending has to come from a fire?
So that's obviously M. Night Shyamalan's directorial choice, because there's lines about it. There's clearly props.
Sure.
I meant the 12 earthbenders doing an in-sync dance and a stone the size of my head flying out. Slowly as hell. Slow as fuck. Slow as shit, dog. And it took 12 of them to do that. Do you think that is the CGI people not fully understanding bending? Or you think that was M. Night Shyamalan's stylistic choices?
I think it's a budget constraint. So, for all 3 films, intended films, they had budgeted $250 million.
And he already spent $150 million.
He had already spent $150 million.
And so he needed this to bang. Wow. Yeah. So that's honestly why they didn't make any more. He blew his wad on this and it didn't make its money back. He was betting on himself, which I kind of appreciate. He was like, I could spend all this money now and they're going to give me more money for book 2 and 3 when this is a booming success. The biggest mistake of this, and I think if I could change just one thing, because there's a million things I'd want to change, but if I could change one thing, it would be for him to try to focus more on the lighthearted joy part.
Yes.
Because it's a totally different story, if I'm being honest. I know that sounds crazy, but it's a completely different story when you take out Aang's goofball personality.
Oh, yeah. And when you think about Gordon Cormier's performance in the Netflix live action, that is the spirit of this character.
He gets serious. When shit is serious, Aang will get serious. But most of the time, that's not him.
Yeah. And there's a decade, 15 years that separates these two things. So there's probably time to learn from that. But man, that's the thing that's lacking. Even in the martial arts sequences, which is one of the bonuses in Noah Ringer's
jumps were kind of fun.
Yeah,
there was potential.
He does like a somersault thing off his head when he's captured by Zuko. That's a fun little action sequence. But even when he's fighting, there's no dialogue the whole time, and maybe this is just a factor of him having that martial arts background. This actor Noah Ringer playing Aang has this like killer instinct in his eyes, which is
not Aang.
Yeah, there's like this bravado and it just doesn't.
Aang is a pacifist at heart, and he looks like he wants to kill when he's fighting.
Yeah,
you're right. While we're just on the topic of the fighting and the bending in general, the end sequence, the very last scene when he summons the 100-foot tidal wave that he uses to threaten the firebenders. I don't think he actually is this tidal wave, and then they turn around and he's like, ah. And I was like,
yeah.
What?
And they don't do the fish, do they? They don't do the spirit giant form.
No. I kept waiting for it. That didn't happen.
That was a bummer. This really makes me want to watch the
spirit dragon
series.
Yeah, it makes yes.
I don't fucking know, dude.
What the fuck was that? I almost was like, is it supposed to be Roku? Like,
yeah, probably.
I wasn't sure. That was so confusing to me. And the dragon had horrible dialogue too. He's like, "What should I do? What do I need to do?" And the dragon said, "Use the power of water." Huh? Oh, thanks.
Show them the power of the ocean.
No, that's what he said. Show them the power of the moon. Use the water. Use the ocean.
Delivers the character growth. Let go.
Yeah. Oh my God! You're not grieving this properly. It's so bad.
So I want to revisit this idea of this is an impossible thing to condense down into a movie. And he does attempt by yada-yadaing through most of season 1 to up till the Blue Spirit portion, which I guess if you're gonna have to make one concession, but one of the most glaring flaws I noticed this time in that gigantic cut, like, what you show in that earlier portion doesn't matter, but you miss some crucial development. You miss
Plot points.
character relationships being formed, because when Zuko approaches the Avatar gang in the little spirit pool, climax of the movie.
Yeah.
I think the moon spirit just died or whatever. Aang's is in the spirit world.
Yeah.
Katara doesn't know who Zuko is. He has to announce himself.
Uh-huh.
They haven't crossed. She just refers to him. You're the guy who tried to kidnap him at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah. They don't know each other.
They cut out the competing dynamic.
I know.
I know. They don't. It removes all.
Part of
stakes.
the problem is for Katara and Aang, they chose actual 13-year-olds, but then Sokka and Zuko, they chose 29-year-olds. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah, but that was. How do you
remedy that? You don't spend as much time in the prison and the camp, and you probably make all of the discovery and the back and forth Omashu, or no, Ba Sing Se, or whichever one they go to first. I don't know. I'm blanking.
Yeah.
You probably do it in the city, and you have a chase scene where that's fun and kind of like through the city and like, you know what I mean? And they're ducking in and out of stuff. And then Aang can be like, that's Prince Zuko.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. And
they can have the scene where he grabs the scarf as she walks away.
I've been thinking about this though, like what concessions do you make? I think, and this might be a hot take, but I do think so. Like, I applaud what M. Night Shyamalan did. Like, you have to obviously cut some stuff out, but I think to make this work in a movie format, you'd have to ditch the campaign that they're traveling all across the kingdom. You have to turn this into like a very tight knit.
This is
heist or
this
like
goes
chase movie. You know what I mean?
This goes Southern Water Tribe, Air Temple, chase to big city, chase in big city. Oh no, we need to go Northern Water Tribe.
Yeah, but it has to be like fast paced. Like,
yes,
we can't
it has
get
to be the Fire
impression
Nation's
that this
on
is
our
weeks
ass.
or months. Like this, they're constantly on.
There was a point where it was supposed to be like weeks, and it doesn't ever feel like we never get a scene of like the gang being friendly with each other. Like, are they friends yet? I don't know. Like, we get none of that. Zero of that. And I just feel like the reason I was harping so harshly on all of the wasted dialogue is because it cuts out moments of them joking around, buddying around, Momo, chasing Appa's tail or whatever. You get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Does Momo appear in any other scene besides that first Air Temple scene?
Last one. Yeah. He's in the Water Tribe with them towards the end. But I noticed the same thing. I was like, where's
you might as well
Momo?
Cut Momo. Like,
it was because it's CGI budget. He spent 150 already. Momo was supposed to be in like every scene. And that's why Aang has no like probably like sentimental scenes, because they were just like, cut Momo. He's too expensive.
Appa's face also did look pretty weird.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Appa wasn't great. I will say though, as horrible as this movie is, it's so glaring the difference between what is Marvel's green screen dome, the volume or whatever.
The volume, yeah. And
you can tell like this is like a set. And like it makes like such a difference in my opinion. Yeah. Even Netflix's Avatar we talked about this on the podcast. Yeah, sometimes they're just in an amorphous space. Mm-hmm. This made me appreciate and miss that a little watching this, because I was like, oh, terrible movie. Why do things look so much better though? Hate Aang's tattoos.
They're thin. They don't really.
You could almost not see them.
You can't see them in the dark. Yeah.
You can't see them in the dark at all.
Yeah. So we've talked about Zuko. We've talked about Aang.
Katara's pretty bad.
Is played by Nicola Peltz.
Sorry, Nicole. It's not your fault.
Her father is billionaire Nelson Peltz, who probably no one would recognize by name, but he teamed up with Ike Perlmutter recently, who was the former CEO of Marvel.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that tried to oust Bob Iger and the current Disney board. They started the anti-woke movement and tried to take it over through a proxy fight. And
how interesting.
So that's her father. And he, I believe, is the one that campaigned to get her cast in this role. And I guess when you're a billionaire,
you can do that.
She is a Nepo baby. But guess what?
What?
She's now Nicola Peltz Beckham, as in she's married into the Beckham family.
Oh, huh.
David and Victoria's son, I believe. Yeah.
She's their son and daughter-in-law.
She's their daughter-in-law. Yeah. She recently, maybe not recently. She was in Transformers 4 recently, but so that's a little bit about Nicola Peltz Beckham.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's not a great performance. It's a performance given by
ready for this?
a 13-year-old.
Where I do blame Ong for some of the shortcomings of the character. I don't blame Katara for any of her shortcomings. I think it's the script, what she's working with, her direction. Once again, just needs some fun, love. I hate boiling her down to this because she's so much more, but she is the nurturer mother figure of the group. Zero of that. There's absolutely none of that. It's just like, you know what it is he was so focused on the story, he like forgot the characters and their development.
The world building, the mythology.
Yeah.
I think he was enamored with that probably.
Yeah. You know what he needed to do? Hear me out.
Watch
for
the
this?
show.
he need That's really good. He needed to not make like Korra, but they needed to be like, you can make a movie in this world, just not remaking Avatar book 1. Tell him, give me a Kyoshi. You get what I'm saying? You go do something like that, M. Night.
But I mean, this was in the early days of the Marvel
Where
Renaissance.
they don't.
So they're thinking, oh, this is our ticket. Let's take the most popular thing.
Propel us into.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. Yeah, this is a fun question. Do you think M. Night Shyamalan killed all live action hope for this movie? Or do you think there could have been, in 2010 to 2016, whatever, 3 successful live action Avatar films with someone else at the helm? Or do you think they always would have been kind of middling, no matter what?
I think they would have always been middling, because
I kind of
we
think
got to
so.
remember,
The same. I think because of
this
just
is
it's a movie.
Nickelodeon we're talking about. Like,
I just don't think you can take all 20 episodes that are in a season and boil it into a movie. It doesn't feel, because think about it. Netflix had 8 episodes, hour and a half, maybe some of them, 50 minutes to an hour and a half, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And people still complained that they left too much out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I just don't think it's possible in a movie format.
It's not possible in a movie format unless you dramatically reinterpret the story as something else.
Okay, hear me out. Here's a different pitch. What if it was a 5-movie series? Do you think that would be more possible?
Yeah, like you would have, I think 3 movies to cover a book is what you would need. 2 to 3 movies.
I think you could do. I think you could do it in 2. I think you could do 2 per book. You go 3 per book. I want intro, middle, and conclusion. No, but like, okay, so like we're joking around, but I think you saying that right there is just like how high in reverence we hold this story.
Mm-hmm.
It is so beyond anything else. I feel like Nickelodeon or even like Cartoon Network at the time was like putting out story-wise.
In order for any adaptation of this to work in like a 90 to 120 minute format, it needs the pacing of like a fucking Jason Bourne movie. Like, stakes are high, they're constantly moving.
You're so right.
Like,
it needs to be the Fire Nations on our
contained.
ass.
Yeah. It can't be globetrotting. I mean, I guess Jason Bourne globetrots, but like it's got to be much smaller. And this expansive story does not work well for that. Like, you could use a movie to tackle the freedom fighters work. Like, that's an arc.
I know.
Or whatever. They used to package these in individual DVDs and you get like 3 episodes. Like, that's a movie right there. You know what I mean?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no. I see what you're saying. I think it should just be a TV series like Netflix did. Yeah, that's my take. I do think in book 1 you could get away with possibly 1 movie, but I don't think you could book 2 and 3. Like, at all. I just don't see, like, even though M. Night failed, there's a version of you getting away with book 1 in 1 movie, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the other 2 it would be possible, because it's so much. And the way this dude's wasting fucking dialogue, there's absolutely no way he could have done it in 3 movies properly.
Yeah. So M. Night isn't able to pull it off. It's tough to say that anyone would have been able to pull it off. So I
used to hold this director with a bit of reverence, and I think I'm out. I think he's awful.
Wow.
I hope he's listening. Dude, get it together. go eavesdrop on people in
Go
a
watch
coffee
a
shop.
movie. Yeah.
Please. Like,
interact with people.
no, because I think that's part of the problem is it part of the interaction. Go listen to people. Go eavesdrop on people in a coffee shop for like a week. That, like, I'm begging you.
This had a lot of things working against it. The creators, Michael and Brian, were not involved. I think they sort of had to give their
These dudes have been on
Stand-up-
a journey since they made this. So they get this movie and people probably hate them and probably blame them a little. You know what I mean? Like, as lame as that sounds.
I think people knew, maybe they didn't know at the time, but they had to give their sort of forced approval at the time. But they've since come out and said, like, yeah, we were pretty much cut out of the process. We didn't want it to be made in the first place. And if it was going to be made, we wanted to have some say, which they didn't. So I think this
And then they
definitely soured their relationship.
started
with
on the
Nickelodeon.
Netflix series
Mm-hmm.
and they left partway through,
Yeah.
which in retrospect, I don't think was because of creative differences. I think it was because they got this new offer for their studio, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I believe so.
Because I think they promoted it, the Netflix one, when it came out. I think if they were like sour grapes, they might not be like, go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
We might need to
what
look
they
back
did.
into that. I'm probably going to watch the live action, the Netflix one after this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, as much as this was ass,
Gordon
it is
Cormier
stoked
is great.
Dude, all right. Once again, I know your answer, I'm pretty sure, but just for the fans, what type of bender are you and why?
What type of bender am I and why? I think I'm just a run-of-the-mill earth bender, man.
I get that. You are very sturdy. You're reliable. You love a
Thank
routine,
you.
which I feel like
Yes,
is
I
very
do love a
earthbender.
routine.
Yeah, you love a good routine. I see it. I totally
Yeah.
get it. You're grounded. You never you don't fly off the handle at small things. I see it. I see it. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think it's changed a little over the years, but just at my core, I'm always a
Just a
firebender.
firebender, yeah.
I'm just fiery and I get angry at shit and I get loud but it's because I have a zest for life. And that's what I love about the firebenders is I used to think they were all just cunts when I was a kid. But then in book 3, you get to no, it's not just all destruction and pain and death. It's
Yeah.
life, it's energy. It's I love it. And what was so crazy about that to me is I've been watching Survivor all these years, and Jeff Probst always has this line, and I always just took it as like such a throwaway line. But then like Avatar made it real life for me. But Jeff Probst at the beginning of everyone's first tribal council, he goes, "In this game, fire represents your life. When your fire is out, so are you." And I'm always like, that fire is that inner drive, that desire, that will, and I like that take on it.
Maybe Mike and Brian are Survivor fans. I'd be curious.
I would be curious too, because I like I said, that really brought that line to life for me.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original, is that it is all of these things. It is a fun, accessible, easy to dive into.
I could recommend it to
towards the
anyone.
beginning, Adventure of the Week type show that children can watch.
Mm.
But as it unfolds, it becomes this sprawling mythology that infuses a lot of like philosophy, it ponders religion and spirituality and the morality of war.
Yes, yeah, the morality of war, the cycle of violence. There's a lot of deep things they really slide under the table there. Oh my God, we're running through characters. We didn't talk about maybe the biggest butchery in this adaptation. Eero, Uncle Eero. And I don't fully blame the actor. I blame a little of the actor, maybe not fully understanding the character, but I think part of it was just the direction. Ass. Just so bad.
Yeah.
Not wise. Didn't get any sense
Not
of
jovial.
calmness from him.
Yeah.
What?
Not jovial.
Wasn't jovial. They sucked all the fucking... I wonder if M. Night Shyamalan started making these movies before he finished the whole series.
I wonder if he just wasn't paying attention.
He's missing such a key element of the story, I feel like.
He just wants to do a big sprawling franchise, and there's this rich
he wanted
fertile.
He wanted his
wants
Star
his own
Wars
Lord of the
series.
Rings. He wants to be Peter Jackson.
Yeah. So you think it wasn't? You think it was all purposeful? Him trying to make it a bit more serious.
Yeah, I think he's probably said as much. He wanted to do like the grounded approach, which people complained about the Netflix thing. They probably didn't even watch it. They said it's too grounded. This is a kids show.
It's
and I look
not,
at it, it's like
honestly.
that's such a campy, goofy. Like that's that
you ready for
is
this one?
sort of at the essence. Maybe it's a little.
He ran.
That shit was so funny, man.
That shit was everywhere.
So like I would really encourage, if you're listening to the podcast and you love Avatar, you're maybe iffy on the live action series, go back and watch this, and then like you can appreciate the Netflix series for what it is. Does the Netflix series capture the greatness of the original animated series? Obviously not, but it's a very
much
faithful
more on the right
attempt.
path.
Yeah, and captures more of the spirit for sure.
Yeah, I feel that M. Night Shyamalan was really focused on like Ong's spiritual journey, which is important in the cartoon, but it is like such a back seat compared to how much emphasis I feel like he put on it. Because once again, Ong is a bit of a reluctant hero. He knows he has to help and do something, but he really does not want to.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons.
Low.
One, he it's scary. 2, the responsibilities. 3, he's a pacifist. He doesn't like fighting and hurting people. And I think that is, I think even if you sucked out all the fun, the jovialness, he completely missed the mark on Ong. Like he brings it up. It's talked about, but it is not like emphasized to the point of like where the moment in book 3 is not going to land the same way as it would in any other media.
He just entirely missed the point of all of the points of any reason people enjoy the original
But then the
series.
stuff he focused on, I feel like he was so weird about too. The bending was weird. Like it's just, oh God, it's such a weird creative choice.
I never want to prey on the downfall of a creative, but you know,
you have to start self-funding your own movies after this, dude. That's a sign. You need to take that sign. You see Old? Probably not.
No.
It was
That's the
awful.
movie with the old beach, the beach that makes you old.
Yeah, you
know
got
that
it.
is a meme.
You saved an hour and a half of, or maybe 2 of time. Fucking so bad, dude. And like I said, when I was watching this movie, I was sitting there having to decide: is this just M. Night Shyamalan's movie style? Is he like a Tarantino where this is his style, or does he just genuinely not know how people interact? Like,
I think that's his style. One of the things
so bad.
in the Wikipedia notes is like, he's like, I only know how to make movies like how I make movies, which is like, okay, that's admirable, but like, that's also a little bit of an excuse of like improving.
Yes. I don't have a car at the moment, so I'm getting a lot of things delivered to my house. Marty has made it so easy because not only are they fast and efficient, but they're the cheapest option out there by far.
I get these matcha lattes that retail for like $45 for a 12-pack. And I've never bought it full price. I get it on Marty for $15. Marty's woman-owned, sustainable, socially conscious, and eco-friendly. What they do is they buy up surplus inventory from the top brands that you love, and they sell it to you at a lower price, so you save food waste and you save money.
That was my first question, was how do they get these things so cheap? But they have a model, and it's passing savings on to you. They got hundreds of items, fast shipping, no subscriptions needed, and you can save on all the great food that you love. We do have a discount code when you go to marty.com/2dudeswatchcartoons, all one word.
TWO, Dudes Watch
TWO, 2 Dudes Watch Cartoons, all one word. You can save $5 off your order.
Go to marty.com/2dudeswatchcartoons at our link in bio, or just plug in the promo code 2dudeswatchcartoons. That's TWO, Dudes Watch Cartoons. Thanks for supporting the pod. Go get yourself some delicious snacks. Alex, go figure out the car situation. I don't know what's going on.
I don't need to with Marty.
Back to the episode.
2 dudes watch cartoons. Yeah.
Should we get into some reviews and then our
Let's
own?
get into some review. Yeah. You got any
Half a
good
star.
Letterboxd?
Rewatched after watching the show. Incompetent. Half a star. No. Is half a star as low as you can go? I think that's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, I think you have to leave.
We've never
A-star
seen
to
this
leave.
before.
Or
I've
a
never
half
seen
star,
anything
yeah.
like this before. It's basically all half a stars.
There's no because you can just heart stuff in Letterboxd, so there's no star rating attached to this. But this person writes, "Heart. They liked this movie. Watched on Nintendo 2DS. That's probably the appropriate avenue for the quality of this
100%.
movie. You're
That's
not missing
100% where
anything.
you should be watching this movie. Half a star. What? WUT. Half a star. M. Night, buddy. What the hell happened here? It's just it. Oh, no star. No star, no heart. 9-year-old me trying to mentally block out my experience of this film. There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
The compiled star rating is 1.1. So
Half a star. Thank God this is the last Airbender and not the first.
it seems like the most forgiving reviews. So I'm seeing one, it's like 3 stars where the person's like, it's a bad movie, but I'm not, my partner likes the original series and they seem to have more problems with it than I did, is, my paraphrasing of it, which I guess. So is the 5% an overreaction? Is the half a star an overreaction?
I don't think so. I'm about to be that guy. I really don't think so, because I think it misses the mark on just being a blockbuster movie, and I think it misses the mark on staying staying faithful to the original adaptation, and I think it fucking misses the mark on conversation and like people talking and exposition. It is. I think if you were to take the Avatar IP off of this movie, I still think it would have been hot garbage. Because I think some people think it's being rated so low because it's being compared to something that's awesome, and I don't think that's the case. I think if you take away the original and someone just releases this movie, I think everyone gives this a 5 to 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. I really do.
Yeah. And the
I think
more
if there
about
is no original, this movie wouldn't even make sense.
No, I think this movie is really
It's hard
for
to
as much as
follow.
they cut out or try to condense the season 1 story, it is almost not in like a faithful adaptation way, but they're just translating things that are they're just translating from animation to live action for no reason. So if you remove the Avatar context, you're just watching random scenes unfold. There's no emotional storytelling crescendo. There's no relationships built. There's nothing driving this story other than these things happen in the original series, so we got to put this on the screen.
Yes.
It is almost essentially akin to watching the Ember Island Players. You're just watching.
Yeah, I mean,
but not lighthearted or
people
funny.
make that joke, but 100% true. It feels like a parody. It feels like an hour and 45-minute SNL skit on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Ong, the Avatar has arrived. It feels like an SNL skit sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Why would you go out of your way to mispronounce
every
character name except for maybe 2?
Oh, I swear to God, in the research for this film that I was doing beforehand, M. Night Shyamalan gathered everyone at the table read and said, mispronounce everything or you're fucking fired. Well, what? Avatar, Ong, Sokka,
Iroh.
I was gonna say I can't even mispronounce Iroh's name. Iroh. You know what it is? I think I maybe nailed something here. Tell me what you think about this. Was M. Night Shyamalan too focused on the Zuko of it all? Do you think maybe that was where his focus was for the later movies, and that's why maybe this really fell flat? Is because
he's trying to set up that.
He's trying to set that up, and at the expense of the gang.
I can give him
the gong.
That.
What?
I'll give him that.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I literally just have no idea why this is the way it is.
Because we do you get a little bit of the groundwork for Zuko and Zhao competing. So yes, maybe he's treating Zuko as the protagonist. I have no
fucking clue, man. I don't know. It's so bad.
Also, there is a lot of diversity on the screen in this film, but why go out of your way to cast all Inuit extras,
but then 2 white
background
leads.
actors, and then two white leads?
Yeah,
and
bad.
then even Granny
Ong
is
being white. What?
The only Southern Water Tribe speaking roles are white actors.
Are white people. Yeah. It's bad. It's Ong. I feel like me learning about this stunt casting that I'm now calling it of him, internet craze, Avatar, martial artist.
I think he submitted. I don't know if it was an internet craze. I think he just submitted a tape. Maybe it's because of the martial arts.
I thought he was
background.
like going viral,
I
and
don't
they were
think.
like, "It's
I
gotta be
think he
him."
was just a kid at his local studio or whatever dojo, and submitted a
What
tape.
is this, like a fucking contest, like a Make-A-Wish? Like hey, send in a tape, and maybe you could star in a movie. Like
Maybe.
what?
Okay, so maybe like he does impressive with the martial arts. You know,
Sure,
he's
but
got
that
background.
is such. I'll be honest, that is so not the focus
Mhm.
of any of this.
Yeah, and maybe therein lies M. Night Shyamalan's the first of many problems.
Jesus.
But even the martial arts scenes are not particularly well shot. When
That's what I'm
Zuko's
saying.
fighting,
there was
training
not
with
like
his henchmen.
this was not like a Jackie Chan movie, which I think it needed some of that Jackie Chan running through. You
lightness.
know, it needed
the
some
fun
of that.
action fight choreography. Yeah. So,
My name is
I mean-
Ong. I am the Avatar. There's a literal sentence in the movie that is that, and it's like it hurts my ears. It's got to be purposeful.
yeah.
I have no idea. It's so that's. Ugh.
I don't know
This
that we've
makes
ever-
me irrationally angry. Half a star.
Yeah. I don't know that we've ever. There's no rules in how we give our ratings.
No. Yeah. What do you got?
0, dude.
Yeah.
I don't,
We have no rules. This right there with you. 0 stars.
0 stars.
I am glad we're covering it for the podcast, but it took everything in my bones not to be fast forwarding every 10 to 15 seconds, dog.
Yeah.
I wanted to fast forward through fights. I wanted to fast forward through parts I knew were going to be cringe. I wanted to fast forward through the traveling. I stood strong, but it was so hard for me to actually sit there and watch this movie. It was hard.
It was a weird inverse where normally I'm a little, maybe I'm scrolling on my phone and I lock in when something gets good.
Yeah.
This movie, I would lock in sometimes
I
just
couldn't
to
take my eyes
in
away. Yeah.
how it's like watching a car crash.
Yes.
Watching this dialogue that Alex so kindly direct quoted, it's real. This exists on film. It's free on Tubi or Pluto. I think it's
Pluto.
Yeah, you can watch it for free.
I wanted to talk about Pluto. You like this idea of free streaming apps with commercials?
Yeah, why not?
It's brilliant. That's what I was saying. Yeah. So it just went.
It's almost
amazing.
It's like back to the days of cable. You just
But
it's a little
it's
inconvenient.
modern. It's perfect in my opinion. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Oh, I especially like it because over the past week I was trying to catch up on a bunch of Oscar movies, and so I accidentally paid $20 to rent a movie when I could have bought it for $25. I was like, God, that is so fucking annoying.
On Pluto?
No, just just one of the best winners.
So now you
best
yeah,
picture.
I get what you're saying.
So,
Yeah. Okay. I think we should do closing thoughts, and then I want to do like a big picture closing thoughts, episode 100, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So closing thoughts on the film first. You want me to go or you to go?
I'll go first. There's nothing redeeming in this movie. I think if anything motivates you to watch this movie, it's to see Dev Patel early in his career, just off of Slumdog Millionaire, which is a fantastic movie.
Amazing film.
And maybe this is sort of the cautionary tale of like big blockbuster tentpoles. Like I know Timothée Chalamet has gotten the advice from Leonardo DiCaprio to not do
superhero films.
no superheroes or no capes or whatever. And I think it was like one of those roundtable actor discussion videos where Dev Patel mentioned he's like, after Slumdog, like I did a big franchise thing, and it really shook his faith, and it was not received well. So to see, I would watch this movie as the cautionary tale of what can go wrong in an acting career, what can go wrong creatively. This is, I mean, by all means, one of the most universally panned movies of all time. So just knowing what that reference is, so we all have some sort of universal standard. Like that's more reason to watch this movie than anything in it.
I like that actually. I think that's like a really.
This is the floor. This is the basement.
For like movie lovers. No.
Yeah.
But like this is the floor. This is like someone trying hard to make something like a beloved property into something kind of serious. These are my closing thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And just like flat out failing at every corner. And it's really interesting when you are like a fan of movies, especially me. I always find I am sometimes too forgiving of movies. If I'm engaged, I'll leave it being like, that was good. And everyone else was like, that was awful. And I was like, oh, well, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? And so I can have a good time in a bad movie, but this is not one of those films. This will anger you if you're an Avatar fan. This will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up at certain points. This will make you wince. It'll make you pause. It'll make you consider turning it off. And you don't always get that movie-going experience anymore. And it's interesting to see, like I said, the vast difference in quality of now the 3 properties that we have. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's a really fun study if you like writing. You'll pick up on some just like horrendous writing things. And I think it's a really interesting study in like watching something but not comprehending it from M. Night Shyamalan's perspective.
Media literacy.
Media literacy. I think we get to see one of the biggest directors in the world not understand a children's cartoon. And I think that's kind of funny.
That is fascinating. And all of its flaws on its own are pretty egregious, but
together.
And to think that this at the time probably drove people from going to the source material. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is even more egregious. You're like, oh, you've been watching some dumb cartoon about this? That feels doubly egregious.
You're like, yeah, I love Aang.
Yeah. But, we had to bring it back. We had to do something good for episode 100.
Yeah, here's why we did this. Because this is people are going to be like, what? Why would you cover something horrible for your 100th episode? Some of me and Evan's most fun on this. We don't want this to turn into a podcast where we just trash things, where we pan them. That's not our vibe. That's not who we are. It wouldn't be fun to podcast about. But every once in a while, when we get... It was more fun sitting on the couch envisioning Evan and I talking about this than it was watching. And it is fun to... because we come at things with a critical eye, but most of the time we're like, hey, I'm critical, and that was really good. It's fun to really be like, this is why this is bad. We don't get to do that every so often. As much as I hated Avatar Way of Water, that was one of our most fun podcasts we've ever had. It was great. It was a fun time.
That's a movie we didn't personally like, but technically sound, you know?
What a comparison. Sound. Let's talk about, they're both avatars. James Cameron's Avatar Way of Water, as much trash as I have talked about it, it is a movie with like sound, dialogue, and a story to follow, and beats and themes and motifs and character developments. I can still think it's boring and not the best in those, but it is still like a whole level above the last Airbender.
It's a masterclass.
It's a different ballpark. So I want to be clear when I'm hating on these two things, it is for two vastly different reasons.
And that might be a good segue into our first piece of news.
We have some news.
Where did you have? Should we do news and then the?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
How do you want to tackle this?
Let's do our news and then we can get into our 100th episode thoughts.
James Cameron says Avatar: Fire and Ash will be a bit longer than The Way of Water, which clocked in 3 hours and 12 minutes long.
It's not possible.
Zoe Saldana recently in an interview, maybe leading up to the Oscars, stated that she will be 54 by the time.
And she was in her 20s when it started.
Contractually, yeah. So more of that to look forward to.
It feels while we're watching Severance, that feels so Lumen to be like in a contract for 30 years of your life.
Yeah. Do you look forward to it at that point? Like,
oh no, she probably is not. She's it's a check for her. I mean, she's got to be. I mean, she's in like she's got to be one of the richest actors in the game.
Granted,
she's in
I haven't
everything.
seen this show, but why would she be doing a show like Lioness, like a
Is she
a
in that? I have no
small
idea.
streaming spy thriller or something.
You're blowing
That
my
stuff
mind. I
always
didn't know she
screams
knows it.
money.
Think of all the shit she's in, though. That's crazy.
Yeah, she got an
Maybe she just loves the
Oscar
game.
recently?
Yeah.
Perhaps. No shade to her.
No.
If she can suit up in the mocap suit at 54,
more power to you.
we can plug in our mics at however old we'll be.
That's great. Let me hear. I didn't pull up the news actually. I was
good.
banking on you. Let me see what else we got.
Russo brothers
Oh,
recently premiered their latest Netflix film, The Electric State, starring
Chris
Millie
Pratt
Bobby Brown.
and Millie Bobby Brown.
10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Budget was $320
We're encroaching Avatar status.
Avatar. What is it about? No clue. I have no interest.
I watched an interview of them today talking about 90s nostalgia. So
Sure.
something in the 90s.
Do you think Millie Bobby Brown is bound contractually to only do Netflix stuff? Because I don't think she has done it. She's done the Enola Holmes films with Henry Cavill, which are all Netflix stuff.
They are probably paying her bank to do that then.
Yeah, she's probably on
you're
lock
right,
till
she must be.
Stranger Things is done.
Could be longer, but yeah, maybe till Stranger Things is done, which is, coming to I think an end this year.
Okay. Yeah. Time jump, right?
A small one? I don't remember. I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm a Stranger Things fan. I know people, since it's so popular now, it's like swung back to like people hating on it or whatever, but I've always enjoyed it.
Okay.
Evan said, not I. Go on.
Kate Bush moment was cool. But, yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. Amazon recently obtained full control and rights over James Bond 007.
How do you feel about that? Because you're a huge James Bond fan.
That is tough. I am cautiously optimistic, but with Amazon's history of other big IP, namely Lord of the Rings, that they've acquired, I guess it has been like the worst thing, the Ring of Power or whatever, but it's not doing is not particularly well received. Culturally, it hasn't done much for it.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Would you prefer Amazon or Disney have the rights to James Bond?
Amazon.
That's what I thought. I'm trying to put it. Maybe it's not the worst.
Yeah. See, which is why I'm saying I'm cautiously optimistic. But what has since come out, so the Broccoli's, their last name have produced.
I had
these
to read
movies
that like
going
6
back
times.
forever.
Broccoli's.
Yeah, and so they got bought out finally, and they've been, they got bought out by Amazon, and apparently it's because Barbara Broccoli, or one of them, called one of the Amazon execs fucking idiots to her friends, and Jeff Bezos found out, and he said, I don't care what it costs, get rid of her. And her calling them idiots was in response to a pitch for a spin-off series called Moneypenny. And if you're not familiar with the James Bond property, Moneypenny is the secretary in M's office. Sometimes there's like a flirty relationship with James Bond.
That's a crazy pitch.
And not to say that character doesn't deserve shine, but like get the movies right, The last one didn't do particularly great. It didn't end on a high note. So
damn.
Get James Bond right first.
Dumb.
And then let's figure out what to do.
In other beloved IP property news, maybe the biggest news of the evening, Shrek 5 has dropped a teaser trailer. Did you watch it, Evan?
Briefly. It's just them looking in the mirror or something. He like swipes through.
He's like swiping through the mirror. It's him, Donkey, Fiona, and then one of their daughters pops up that's older.
Who's a teenager now.
And it's Zendaya.
What
do you think about this?
Michi, baby.
I don't know why that's the first thing I went to also, though.
Hey, I'm glad Zendaya's still up for doing goofy stuff like that, You'd think she's a little too serious of an actor post-Challengers, but that's cool. I'm glad she's on board. I feel like people have been talking about how like Shrek looks different.
People have been. This is going to be my next bit of news after Zendaya. Mm-hmm. I respect Zendaya respecting the legacy of Shrek, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that
Yes,
is what I like
absolutely.
about it.
Yeah.
If someone they were like, "Hey, are you interested in Shrek 5?" And she's like, "Maybe."
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
she's like, "Tell me more." Like she wasn't like, "No, I'm above that." Yeah, good
Yeah.
on Zendaya.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Her and Tom are great. Okay, people on the internet are complaining that all of them look terrible, and I'll be honest, I didn't notice a difference until people started posting side by sides. I really didn't.
Sure.
I really
Yeah.
didn't. And maybe that's bad of me as a cartoon podcast host, but I was just excited. I was excited because I think it's been enough time since, because 3 and 4 are hot garbage, but I guess we got to cover them now. Maybe we'll do them in one episode. I think that's the way we do that. I just, they're going to be,
Okay, that's fair.
you're going to be appalled how bad they are.
Yeah.
I think it's been enough time where they could it's possible they could nail this Shrek 5.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because the Puss in Boots movie was pretty good.
It was, but I do think there were little to no expectations for what
For sure.
it was. So I
For
think
sure.
Shrek 5,
It's going to have big expectations.
yeah.
It's got big shoes
Definitely.
to fill. This is my swamp.
Mm-hmm. But they got OG voice cast back. I'm
All of them
excited.
are back?
You know, side by side, the characters look a touch different, but it's also
what
been
I'm saying.
15 years.
It's been
like,
so long. You expect them to look the exact
technology
same?
just develops. Yeah, arguably, I would say they look slightly better. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's one of those just pointless internet arguments.
I agree.
Or debates,
I
discourses.
concur.
Other trailers to have recently dropped. The trailer for the canceled live-action CW Powerpuff Girls
Oh.
has been leaked
All right.
online.
Ready for this?
Mhm.
Hot take. I watched it.
Yes.
Besides Mojo Jojo not being his monkey and the villains maybe just being like humified, looked like an interesting take on the original.
Mm,
It was
yeah.
maybe not my jam, but I appreciate things that are unique and bold. And if you're gonna do something based off an original or like an IP, I appreciate a spin.
Yes. One thing I wasn't aware of about this canceled show, Donald Faison as
the guy from
professor,
Scrubs. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Professor X.
That's a fun choice, but and maybe it's because I
Not
didn't
Professor
like,
X.
I probably
I don't remember
watched
his
it
name.
on mute. I think it's. I
think it's just the professor.
The professor. Oh,
He used
whatever.
Chemical X to make the Powerpuff Girls. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, but
And sugar and
the
spice.
trailer does just look like a CW show. I think.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It really
It-
just looked like
Riverdale or whatever. Like they're all
or like
adults, they're
season
all
8
hot.
of The Flash. Yeah.
Yeah. The green screen flying is very bad. Chloe Bennett against the green screen. So yeah, it's no surprise CW was underwater.
Yeah, they
the
watched
whole
that
time.
and they said, you know what? No, we're done. We need to
Yeah.
try something else here. Yeah, but it's crazy. It looks like they filmed a lot, actually, though.
Mhm.
Which is always
Yeah.
interesting to me that when they film something that they don't like actually release it. Like the whole Batgirl thing, when that happened, I still am just like, wow.
Why? At least try to make some money back on it. You
Send
know
it
what I mean?
to, yeah, someone will air it, I feel like. I don't know.
What other news?
At the Oscars, Disney now has lost 3 consecutive years without winning Best Animated Film. The last
wow.
3 films were Netflix's Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Hayao Miyazaki's Boy and the Heron,
Mhm.
and then this year it was Flow, which I think it means we probably got to cover it soon.
Have you seen Flow? I have not seen it yet.
You're gonna hate me. I have seen the last 25 minutes of Flow. Nikki was watching it, and I got home and I sat down with
I
her.
don't hate you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
So
So I plan on watching it. Yeah, and I think we should cover it. I think it'll be good. And if I recall, our good buddy Kevin said he wanted to cover it with us, so we'll have to reach out to
Hell yeah.
him. But do you think Disney is upset by this?
I think so.
Yeah, I do too. They've
think-
dominated the category for years.
I think Nelson Peltz is probably trying to round up board members or investors to take over from Bob Iger again.
Oh God, too funny, too funny.
2 things I wanted to touch on. So Avatar Studios, we've probably mentioned in the past, but original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender have now formed their own studio. They departed from the Netflix
Yes.
series for this opportunity. It's back with Nickelodeon, but they have full creative control as far as we know. of what's going on. I believe there is a movie with the original Avatar gang as adults that's planned for release.
How do you feel about that?
I think it'll be good, but I think I'll enjoy it. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
But I think it could be a good indicator of
how the rest of their projects are going to go.
Yes.
I think so too. I think you got the right.
Like, do they have enough juice to continue building this out in a way that engages more fans?
I think this is the age-old question of, like, when you strike brilliance, is it like lightning striking, or are you just like a genius and you can do it whenever you want? We got faith in them. I got faith in them. I think at minimum, it's not going to be bad. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know, because Korra is not bad, but it is not on the same level as The Last Airbender.
I think I'm more concerned that we are at the point in this journey where Disney Plus is announced. All these Marvel shows are announced.
Disney Plus changed the whole trajectory of Star Wars and Marvel. We've talked about this.
Yeah, but they started off hot, right?
Yeah.
And now, handful of years in, now they're rolling back their output because the quality just dropped off. So I think I'll enjoy the first whatever they put out. So there's a film scheduled for 2026. Aang, The Last Airbender, picks up with the old gang. And also recently announced there's a new animated series called Avatar 7 Havens, which will follow the Avatar after Korra.
I'm excited. It's an Earthbender. Girl? Earthbender?
So the official logline: in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm, a young Earthbender discovers she's the new Avatar after Korra. But in this dangerous era, that title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies, she and her long-lost twin must uncover their mysterious origins and save the Seven Havens before civilization's last strongholds collapsed.
It's going to be in the future now, because Korra is like more modern times. I'm curious.
They had mechas, man. Steampunk mecha.
This is going to be like in the future, I feel like.
Yeah.
She's going to, I bet you, if it's very future, she's going to be very metal bendy focus.
Oh, she is an Earthbender.
She is an Earthbender.
That'll be sick.
That'll be fun, actually.
That'll be sick.
I'm excited. Does the Avatar not go boy, girl, boy, girl? Oh, no, it doesn't, because it was Roku and Aang. Oh,
yeah.
Got proven instantly wrong.
Yeah. Interesting factoid about 2010 Last Airbender. The young actor who plays Princess Yue, Seychelle Gabrielle, I don't know if I'm saying her first name correct. But she would go on to voice Asami Sato in the Korra series.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Wow. That is pretty fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's get to our closing thoughts here. I actually don't have a ton to say. I really actually have just one.
Reflecting on our 100 episode journey.
I have had the time of my life. Not to quote the song. I am very grateful to the people that listen to us just jibber jabber about this, because this is so fun. For me and Evan, we're lifelong buddies. We've been doing this, talking about cartoons forever. And so just putting the mic in front of us is, one, just a way for him and I to stay in touch. And it's just, this has meant a lot to me over the last 5 years, coming up on now. 100 episodes, 100 plus, honestly, because we have some episodes that we aren't numbered. And so I'm just grateful. That's all. I'm very honored and grateful and humbled and all of the above. And this is just so much fun. And I hope that fun that we're having translates to you guys in your car, at your desk, wherever you listen.
Yeah. Not only has this podcast been a way for Alex and I to stay connected across the country, but it has allowed us to stay connected to a lot of our friends across the country. Allowed us to connect with new listeners, new friends, new guests on the podcast. It's just been, and this was always sort of the mission with the podcast, was not specifically, yes, specifically to talk about cartoons, but also just to open up this avenue of, like, hit us up to talk about this shit.
People don't talk about cartoons seriously.
And there's the male loneliness epidemic, but seriously, the impetus for this podcast is, like, just allowing us in a time where we're increasingly disconnected to open up conversations about lighthearted fare
Yeah.
Especially in these dark times.
In these dark
fucking
times.
weird dark times.
This is what we love about Ong, is his lightheartedness. I really think we've adapted that. I can't help myself now. I really think we've adapted that. Yeah, it's like a sound. It's not like even a word. It's like Ong.
There's one point. There's a point where someone calls out his name, and it seems like they are doing something offensive. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
But yes, when we started this podcast in 2020, neither of us was married. And episode 100 next time next week, both of you're getting married. I have a kid now. So there's been a lot of growth for us.
I've been doing this podcast in 3 different homes. Like,
wow.
Isn't that crazy? It's just a lot's changed in 5 years, but this is one thing that remains consistent. Sorry, we have been lacking on our consistency, but that's why we love you guys. Is you let us do this at our pace. We put out when we can, and we put out when we can. That stands true. I stand by it. To keep it in, don't edit it out. I have so much fun doing this, and I hope others are getting some joy and fun out of it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know exactly what moment you're talking about, because that was where I go, it's like a sound. It's not even like it like it's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, was he only watching with the subtitles on?
Yeah. I think this is a good time to wrap up.
This is a great moment to wrap this.
Sal waking up from his nap. Do you want to do the wrap up or whatever?
I like to do it. If you enjoyed this podcast, we have 99 plus other episodes for you to enjoy in our backlog. Please go check them out on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Make sure you follow us at 2 Dudes Watch Cartoons and on Instagram and TikTok. And just rate and enjoy and have a good day. Share it with someone you think would enjoy it. Don't go watch this movie. Just listen to our recap. And go do watch it. It's an experience.
Take this ride with us.
Take this ride with us. That's all we ask. No, thank you for always taking this ride with us. And as always, we'll catch you next time.
That'll do it for this 100th episode of 2 Dudes Watch Cartoons. We will catch you next time.
2 Dudes Watch Cartoons.
The OG.